Hi there. Greetings, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Plan B Success. Interaction is key in the modern world. By interacting with others, we learn about new things, gain new perspectives, and make connections that can help us in our everyday lives. Interaction also helps us build relationships. When we interact with others, we have the opportunity to get to know them better and build trust. This is especially important in the workplace, where strong relationships can lead to increased productivity and success. So next time you're faced with an opportunity to interact with others, don't shy away from it. Embrace it and see what you can learn or gain from the experience. Interaction is key in any relationship, whether it's between people or between a person and a brand. It helps us build connections, understand each other, and create something meaningful together. And that's why we believe that interaction is the most important value in our work. Whether we are designing a new product or service or creating a campaign that will connect with people on an emotional level, we always start with the question, how can we create something that will encourage interaction? Because we know that when people interact with what we have created, they're more likely to form a connection with it. And that connection is what makes our work meaningful. Interaction is often underestimated. We live in a world where we are constantly interacting with others, whether it's in person, online, or through some other medium. And yet, we often take interaction for granted. We don't realize how important it is to interact with others until we are faced with a situation where we cannot. Imagine being in a room full of people and not being able to speak to any of them, or being stuck in a job you hate with no one to confide in. These are both situations where the value of interaction becomes clear. Interaction is important because it allows us to connect with others. It's how we share our thoughts, feelings, and experiences. It's how we build relationships, and it's how we learn and grow. The next time you're tempted to write off interaction as unimportant, remember that it's actually one of the most valuable things in life. After all, without it, we'd be living in a world of isolation and loneliness, and that's no way to live. Interaction is often taken for granted. We assume that because we are talking to someone, or even just looking at them, that they'll understand what we are trying to communicate. But that's not always the case. Sometimes people just don't get it. It's important to remember that communication is a two-way street. Just because you're speaking doesn't mean that the other person is understanding what you're saying. Sometimes you have to be more explicit in your communication in order to ensure that the message is getting across. If you find yourself in a situation where someone just doesn't seem to understand what you're trying to say, don't give up. Try different ways of explaining it, or ask them questions to see if they can clarify their understanding. With a little effort, you can usually find a way to get your message across. Interaction is the lifeblood of any relationship. Whether it's a friend, family member, co-worker, or romantic partner, we all need to interact with others in order to feel connected and fulfilled. However, it's easy to take interaction for granted. We often assume that our loved ones will always be there for us, and that we'll always be able to rely on them for support. But the truth is, no relationship is ever guaranteed. If you want your relationships to thrive, you need to make a conscious effort to interact with your loved ones. Show them how much you care about them, and let them know that you're always there for them. Make time for them, even when you're busy. And most importantly, don't take your relationships for granted. Cherish the time you have with your loved ones and make the most of it, because in the end, that's all that really matters. Hey, I hope you liked this episode. If you do, please go and check out all the other interesting episodes out on the Plan B Success podcast as well as on the Plan B Success YouTube channel. Don't forget to share, subscribe, and spread the good word.